Aloha, everyone, and welcome back to the Awakening to the Magic of the Menstrual Cycle Summit. I am Angel, your host, as you know, if you have been watching this series so far, and I have the beautiful Miss Hana Ilg with us today. Welcome, Hana. It's so good to have you here.
Thank you. It feels so good. I'm glad we've connected and glad to share on this amazing topic.
Yay, me too. It's really quite easy to talk about stuff that you're so passionate about.
Very true.
So to get started, I just wanted to ask you if you could share a little bit about your own journey and what brought you to this work.
Yes. So I'd say my journey connecting to my menstrual cycle and all that really started, you'd think it'd start when I got my period, but no, definitely not. I was just like your typical 12-year-old, like, oh, yeah. And so it's funny to reflect on the culture of our relationships with menstruation with young girls as well. But it wasn't until I was looking for a form of birth control. I was about 20 and I had previously been on hormonal birth control, like the pill, like when I was 18 for acne. And so I wasn't even sexually active then. And then once I was like, I didn't really like my experience with birth control. So I was like, what are my other options? And I just thought it was condoms for the rest of my life. And I was like, I don't want to do that either. So I learned, a friend mentioned something called the Fertility Awareness Method. That's what she uses for natural birth control. And I was like, I don't believe that. I was just like, I don't think that works. Isn't that what people used before the pill was invented? And once I still looked into it for whatever reason. And once I learned the science, I was like, oh, I get it. And so once I learned that, like how to actually chart my cycle and observe my fertility signs, then this whole world of like connecting to my menstrual cycle opened up. And so I started using that as my birth control. And I used it to avoid pregnancy naturally for 7 years. And I used it to help me achieve pregnancy. So you guys can't see the video, but I'm 7 months pregnant. So I just started teaching it because my friends at first didn't believe me that it worked. And then once they started seeing that it was working, they're like, okay, how do I do this? So that's how I got into the business. I got certified to teach about the menstrual cycle. So that is kind of how my journey started.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
For sharing that. How far along are you now?
7 months.
Oh, did you say that? Sorry.
It's okay.
That's
Yeah.
cool to have that energy in this
Yes.
interview. I think you're the only pregnant woman that is in this series. So what about
Fun.
have that beautiful divine frequency here? Thank you for being the channel for that.
Yes, yeah, it's fun to be like, I used fertility awareness method to avoid pregnancy for 7 years, and then I used it to achieve pregnancy on purpose, because that's people's first question when you talk about natural birth control. They're like, did you get pregnant on purpose?
Yeah.
So yes.
Yeah, it's really beautiful to have you be an embodiment of what's possible for women, because I know that I know that children come for specific reasons, and I trust that everything is always divinely aligned and works out the way that it's meant to. And I also know that having unplanned pregnancies has been a major source of trauma for a lot of women and parents in general, to not have any, like, to not have the right support, to not even really understand what it's going to require out of you. And it's really beautiful to see that it is possible to do it in an intentional way with awareness, and also without artificial birth control. That's amazing. I'm so grateful that you were able to successfully do that, and for as long, and to do it on both sides, to avoid it and achieve it. That's really wonderful.
Yeah, it's been great. So I'm so glad to be able to share that with more women now, if that's an option they want. So it's been great.
Definitely. I'm sure that's going to be very inspiring to
Mm.
many women, myself included. I personally I just started studying the fertility awareness method a few years ago. I took birth control for 9 years, and
Mhm.
I heard in one of my previous interviews how massive of a challenge it was for my body, mind, and emotions to recover from 9 years of taking the pill.
Mhm.
And I was just so blown away when I started learning about the fertility awareness method and just really getting educated on like what's going on down there, like how it works, how the ovaries work, the fallopian tubes, the whole process of conception is just freaking amazing when you
Mhm.
get into it. It's like, how is that real? How's that in me? Like
And
how
how did we not know sooner? Now, why didn't we get taught
totally,
this?
totally.
Mhm.
Yes, definitely something that I feel like young girls should be being taught, and I'm really looking forward to that narrative changing for our future generations and it's
Mhm.
being brought to our future daughters for,
Yes.
at the right time. So through
Mhm.
stuff like this.
Yeah, yeah. And even for women, who are on birth control for so long and they're not happy with their options, they're having side effects that they don't want. And I mean, I don't think maybe the fertility awareness method isn't for everybody for sure, but at least that women know it's an option, that there is a natural, viable, effective way of avoiding
Def-
pregnancy if learned correctly and practiced correctly. But they're not giving it an option. Like doctors aren't taking it seriously and stuff like that. So, or for women who are suffering from hormone imbalance or painful periods or endometriosis or PCOS, that what conventional medicine is giving them isn't anything to help get to the root cause of what's going on. I believe our bodies are always trying to tell us something, and are we listening? And those menstrual symptoms are definitely trying to tell us something, but hormonal birth control just shuts down our natural production of our estrogen and progesterone and our ovaries, and administers a synthetic form of hormones. So while I'm glad we have birth control, we need to have it. We need to have it widely available.
Mhm.
But if it's not the right choice for you, or you're having these issues and you want to actually get to the root cause of them and heal your body naturally, uh, they're not going to help you get there. So it's really empowering for women to know that there are ways, natural solutions of helping support our hormones and our bodies so that we don't have to suffer. I don't think any woman should have to suffer. And natural remedies aren't easy either. Like they take work and lifestyle changes and diet changes. So I'm glad if you are suffering like we have birth control, if it's helping you ease those symptoms.
Mhm.
But for the long term, it's good to know that our bodies are amazing and have this capability of healing at the root, and how the cycle works.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm really grateful that it was an option for the time that I took it because where in
Exactly.
my it was it was better, it was the best option for me.
Yep.
I'm really grateful that I had it through the years that I did, and also really grateful that I was able to come to a different space where I could. Sorry, I have a kitten here who really
Oh.
he loves just he loves coming in on the videos. um, yeah, I'm really glad that I was able to come to a place where I could trust a different option
Mhm.
also. And you're very right. It takes a true desire to want to do it naturally, because
Mhm.
it takes work, like you said, devotion. You have to be willing to really put your focus on your body and start paying attention to some of the patterns and the
Mhm.
symptoms and the the feedback that it gives you, basically, and being willing to chart consistently so that you really get a deeper connection with your body and you can understand it better. And
yeah, I guess I could explain even, I don't know, I haven't explained yet, like for those who don't know the fertility awareness method, like what's actually required, if you want me to explain that.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
So like you were saying, like you have to learn something, you know, and it takes effort. And I always say it definitely takes effort and some time, but it's not difficult, you know. It's not like every woman can understand her body, so it's not actually complicated. And so what an everyday looks like for fertility awareness method is you're looking at two fertility signs your body is giving you, and it's cervical fluid and basal body temperature. So for cervical fluid, that's just a fluid that our cervix produces when you wipe with toilet paper or on your underwear. It will change in consistency. And so it's not just discharge, it will change. It's like during your fertile phase, it will actually change consistency from like sticky to creamy and then like egg white, and that's during your fertile phase. So with that, you can always know on any given day, am I fertile today or not? So what I love about FAM is it's not a guessing game. I'm calling it FAM, so Fertility Awareness Method, FAM.
Yes.
It's not the rhythm method or the calendar method where it's your best guess based on previous cycles and counting days. It's real data, and you do chart it. And so I chart my cervical fluid, which takes me 2 seconds because I check my underwear like and my toilet paper every time I go to the bathroom now because it's such a habit.
Yes.
And so that takes me 2 seconds. And then taking your temperature first thing in the morning. So use a specific basal thermometer. They're still cheap. They're like $15. You don't need a fancy smart thermometer that are out there on the market. But it does need to be a basal thermometer, and it's just more specific, more sensitive. And then it will, you'll see a pattern and there's a temperature shift. And that's when it tells you you're exiting your fertile phase. So cervical fluid tells you when you're entering, and temperature tells you when you're exiting your fertile phase. So it's very like, once you see the pattern, once you learn, I always say it takes about 3 months to just learn your body's pattern, learn the fertility awareness method. Then eventually you can have confidence with it. And so it's not this, I never think anybody should use a birth control that you're afraid, like you're still in fear using. Even I know women using the pill, they're still terrified of getting pregnant, and I'm never worried. So I always know, am I fertile today? Yes or no. And that really helps.
Yeah, I can imagine.
You know, 30 seconds a day to figure that out, which is very nice.
Yes, definitely. And I can imagine the amount of like mental relief and confidence that could give a woman, be able to know where she's at. And I mean, not to mention the fact that just establishing a deeper connection with your body in general is really empowering for women. So it's just a matter of getting into the habit of it.
Yep, exactly.
Like everything new, it kind of seemed a little bit complicated at first, but once you kind of like wrap your head around the way that it works and you try it for a little while, it gets really easy. And yeah, just after a while, it kind of just becomes like natural and autopilot, and you don't even really notice it.
And that's why I created a video course to teach the fertility awareness method now, because when I was first learning, all I had was like, I found like a PDF online and I had a blog post from somewhere I'd found. Like I didn't know where to get the information. And that's what makes it difficult, is when you're not learning it thoroughly. You're like getting pieces here and there. Somebody posts about it on social media. Like you're trying to like grab at it and like figure it out. But I was so scared to get pregnant. I was 20. I was like, I do not want to get pregnant. So I want to learn this the right way. And so I wish I had we did, I had found a video course, and it wasn't like that great, but it was what I needed, just all the information in one like go, you know. And so that's why I wanted to create one as well, so that somebody can just, there's also this great book called Taking Charge of Your Fertility, which I think you've read. It's like this thick though. So my video course like just helps explain the book basically and exactly what you need to know, like, and then the book is good to then read through at your own pace to fill in any holes or to have it sink in again. You need to hear it and then you need to read it, and just as using it as a reference. But a lot of people are like, oh, I want to do this, and then they get the book and then they're like, oh, that's a lot. Whereas I can just like teach it in like an hour and a half, which is really nice.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially with where we're at on the planet right now, the insane oversaturation of information that is coming at us from like everywhere. I think that has definitely made it really hard for us to have an attention span worth a novel.
Yeah.
For most people. So I'm really glad that you took the time to do, do research and get your own education and really pull together the root of it all and create a easier way to digest this information for women.
Exactly. And having somebody to answer your questions, that's what I wish I had, or like, and to hold your hand, because like even once you learn it and then like you have been charting, you can look at your charts, and then it's like that moment of like, okay, I'm gonna go have unprotected sex now, like that's like crazy, and just like to have somebody be like, yep, your chart looks good, I validate that you understand what you're doing, like go have unprotected sex, So with FAM, I only use protection for like during my fertile phase, which is only about a week out of the month, and it's like I have to use a condom maybe once or twice that week, and that's it. Otherwise, it's all unprotected sex, which is very nice.
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome. I remember that being like such a big deal in my mind when I initially learned that it's not possible to get pregnant all the time. It's only a specific few days out of the month that it can actually happen. Just that piece alone is so empowering.
Yeah, and then the females, we're actually only fertile for like 12 to 24 hours. When that egg is released out of the ovary and into the fallopian tube, then it gets reabsorbed by the body, and it's really the cervical fluid that gives you the fertile phase. So that's why there's a few days, because that allows sperm to survive. Otherwise, the vagina is very acidic. It's cleaning out bacteria. It's protecting us, and sperm will die within a few hours.
Definitely.
But when you're producing fertile cervical fluid, it neutralizes the vagina and the pH of the vagina and gives nourishment to the sperm. So they could live for like 3 to 5 days. So if you have fertile cervical fluid present on Monday and have sex that day, and you don't ovulate till Friday, you could still get pregnant from Monday. So it's good to know that it's like, but still, even though it is a short amount of time, which is, women finally realize that when they're trying to get pregnant, and they're like, once they learn their cycle, like for me, it was really like, I have a 7-day of like fertile cervical fluid, but like for the most fertile cervical fluid, it was like 2 days. I was like, I have 2 days like to try to get pregnant. Like, this is really hard actually. Like if I'm busy that day, I don't feel like it that day. Like a lot of women realize that when they're trying to get pregnant, and it's hard to catch the window.
Definitely. Yeah. Oh, such good information. I haven't read that book that you were talking about, but I did one on fertility awareness that taught me how to chart, but I haven't had it with me for a few years and I can't remember the name of it. But yeah, I remember reading that part also about how that I personally like to call it nectar.
Oh yeah.
Instead of mucus, I like that word better. So I remember learning that piece about how when your body produces this fertile nectar, I saw it in my mind as basically like this river for the sperm to swim up to the egg. And was it in the book that I read that there's like also kind of like little pockets along the way that the sperm can get out in and wait. So interesting how like like the intelligence of the entire process is just fascinating.
Yeah, it's so true. Here, I can actually show exactly what you're talking about. I can show them what you are referring to. Let's see if I got to present. So there's these like cervix crypts. Oh, let's see what's loading. Come on, there it is. So I mean, obviously sperm are not drawn to scale, but
Right.
in fertile cervical fluid, which is like on the right hand circle, it's like it's the sperm can go swim up and they can survive and they can hide in those little crypts and live for 3 to 5 days. And on the left hand side, it's like that's infertile cervical fluid, like they can't swim, they can't survive, and they die in a few hours.
That is just so helpful. Thank you for sharing
Yeah,
with us.
so that's kind of like you're saying the river. Like yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, so it's handy visual.
Definitely. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I also just wanted to add another thing that I found just really awesome when I was learning about all of this, about the way that so it's like we have 2 ovaries, and one, it's like the egg comes out of one or the other ovary every month, and there's like this ripening process that happens with like a handful of them that begin to ripen, and
Yes.
1 or possibly 2 in the case of twins that actually reaches the full ripening stage and is released ovary, and then the other ones that didn't ripen as much kind of like bring back down into their dormant.
Yeah, so it all has to do with the estrogen. So here you can see like the left hand side is the first day of your period, and in the middle is ovulation, and the right hand side is right before your period starts again. And so the hormones that are happening are estrogen and then progesterone. And below you is exactly what you're describing. So the eggs, so it's actually like the dot is the egg, and then it's a follicle encompassing the egg. And so it's the follicle that grows. And so there's a handful of them, and then one kind of wins out, and that's the one that grows. And the follicle is actually what produces the estrogen. So that's what rises the estrogen. And then ovulation occurs, and then estrogen lowers, and then progesterone rises. So this is really helpful. I like women to see this, especially when we're talking about hormone and hormonal health. It's normal for us to feel differently in different parts of our cycle. But this isn't the case for a lot of women. A lot of women do struggle with true hormone imbalance. So their estrogen could be way too high or the progesterone way too low, and that can have some serious symptoms. And so it's always helpful for women to see this and know that even hormonal birth control is shutting down this natural estrogen progesterone and administering its own levels of synthetic hormones. So when I was personally on birth control, I kind of felt suppressed a little bit. I didn't feel depressed, which is a big side effect that I hear from women I work with, but just a little suppressed. And it's actually that estrogen. If estrogen gets too high, it'll stimulate ovulation. There's other hormones coming into play, but these are the main ones. And so estrogen, they keep it low, and estrogen is actually the hormone that is known for sex drive and creativity and energy. That's when I work out harder. That's when I you can socialize more, you're more communicative. So that's why it helps a lot of women understand when that's being suppressed, sometimes you don't get the full extent of those emotions, which is good for women to know. And then progesterone, as that rises, actually rises our basal body temperature. So that's what, in the fertility awareness method, why when your temperature rises, that's telling you you're no longer fertile, because it will only rise if that egg's been released and is gone now. So that's the rise in temperature that you're following with fertility awareness method.
Okay, thank you. So I have a quick question. So let's say you're on birth control, you're like taking the pill and you don't have an egg release, what happens to your progesterone? Just don't.
It's whatever the pill is giving you. So it's kind of keeping it they're all different. So all different birth controls are different. So there's like the mini pill, or there's a progesterone only pill. So they all kind of function differently, but they're all administering a set amount.
Gotcha.
More,
which is
almost
totally
like
natural to the body.
What you say?
Which is totally not natural to the body.
Yes. And what I it's talking about feminine energy and feminine power here. It really is, as much as I'm like such a feminist, it really is and birth control's done so many amazing things for the progression of women in the workplace and stuff, but it's really making us kind of like men, where men have more flat hormones than women do.
Yes.
And I feel like we're missing out on this feminine power. And as much as I believe we should totally have equality, we are built differently. And I think there's strength in that. And I think there's a whole beautiful thing called cycle syncing, where you kind of really tailor your lifestyle and your workout and your food and the way you live your life according to your cycle. So estrogen, like I said, is you're out and it's more energy, and progesterone is more of a inward, more nesting, more detail oriented. So it's really beautiful when women come into this power that's been given us, and instead of fighting it.
Definitely. Beautiful. Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that slide.
You're welcome.
So I've been reading, like a whole array of books, and just recently I've been studying a little bit about the Taoist perspective on things, and especially sexual energy. And it hasn't just been this source, but I've just been like learning about how the ovaries are like where a woman's creative energy comes from. And it's just really interesting to think about that aspect, and taking birth control, which keeps your body from releasing that natural creative energy every month with an egg. So it just goes like perfectly hand in hand with what you were talking about, how these synthetic hormones kind of keep us at like an even keel, and how we are totally built different, because women are very, very fluid and cyclical, and we're made to be ever changing, like constantly changing, just like the way the earth is. And that's just very interesting to piece all of those together. And
whenever I teach, I talk a lot about fertility, because I'm like, about avoiding pregnancy, achieving pregnancy. But usually in classes, I always say too, like, when I say fertility, like if you you don't want children, or you can't have children, or you're just not in that place right now, it's still valuable to connect with your cycle and be charting it and know where you're at, because you can harness that creativity or for whatever purpose. Like, no matter what, whether we're using our fertility to make babies or not, it's always going to be used for creation.
Definitely. Yeah, that's a very valuable thing too.
Yeah.
So, I understand that you have a good amount of knowledge about essential oils.
You can see them all here. I was just a part of my collection.
Beautiful. I would love to have you share a little bit about essential oil use, and possibly use them to support your fluctuating cycle.
Yes. So how I would say it is all connected is because a lot of the women I work with, they're getting off hormonal birth control, and then they're like, well, I was on it not only to avoid pregnancy, but because I had these hormone imbalances or these painful periods. And so they embark on this journey of trying to get to the root issue and healing naturally. And so while I was on that journey as well, that's when I discovered essential oils, and they're just part of my tool kit, for healing or for working on our hormones and supporting our bodies to do what they are made to do. So that's one way I got into them, and not just, using some oils on my belly to help with pain or to prevent menstrual cramps, but also I was on this journey of reducing toxins in my home, because I was learning that so many different chemicals in products are known hormone disruptors now.
Yes.
And so I was trying to get rid of things, so many in plastics and
Yes.
our home cleaners and personal care products and perfume and fragrance. Fragrance is a really, like, whenever I'm working with somebody, and like the first place, if you don't know where to start, like the first place you could start in, if you're trying to make lifestyle changes for hormone health, is to get rid of all the synthetic fragrances in your home. So that's the scented candles, the sprays, the even the reeds, like, but we love our homes to smell nice. Of course we want our homes to smell nice. So that's how I got into oils as well, because then I can put them, I have like a diffuser, and make my home smell good, because we all want
And
to smell good.
And not be
Yes. Yes. So as much as it's to smell nice, it's so much more than just smelling nice, how essential oils truly work. They are not like a perfume, and they work on a cellular level. So they can actually, our skin is like our largest organ, and it can absorb in, and the molecules of essential oils are so small, they can actually go in the cellular level and clean cell receptor sites, which is how cells communicate. So the better they can communicate, the better they can fight off things. And they also affect our emotions. So smell is directly linked to the limbic system of the brain, and that's responsible for memories and emotions. And so there's like a blend called Stress Away, and I wish you could smell this right now. It's kind of like vanilla and lime and lavender and cedarwood. And
sounds awesome.
Cortisol is the stress hormone, and that actually, I mean, we all know stress is bad, but it's not so much that stress is bad. We need stress. Like, it's a natural response to dealing with life, but we need to be able to release stress after we don't need it anymore, so we can't always live in this fight or flight state.
It makes us
grow. What?
It makes us grow.
Yeah, you need.
It does.
But then as long as you can get out of that release state, or out of that stress state, and you no longer need it, it's not serving you anymore. So I have a roller top on this blend, and I'm just like, roll it on, diffuse it. I carry this with me, and it's not just all in our head. Like, it's literally working in that limbic system part of your brain, and it can lower your cortisol levels, which is amazing.
Totally.
Yeah. And then, so that's just kind of in general how I've been using oils to support hormone health, is just getting rid of toxins, like replacing my medicine cabinet with so many different things. And also they do have, like, I personally use Young Living essential oils, and that's what I have my business with, but they have specific blends too for hormone health, which is fun. So I'll put them on my abdomen, or your reflex points for your reproductive organs. So if you want to work on your ovaries, is around your ankles. So it's a good place to put the essential oils, is around your ankles.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I have like clary sage here, which I'm actually not supposed to use when pregnant. So I wish I could smell it right now.
No.
But it's one that can induce labor, so I won't be smelling that one. So a lot of when you're pregnant, you just want to let your hormones do what they're doing. You don't want to affect them. But this clary sage is a super popular one for hormone support.
Awesome. I love Young Living. I think I've only ever had one bottle of theirs, but I'm sure I will have in the future. It is just like such a luxurious of oils, and just like really in alignment with honoring your like inner goddess or inner queen. Just treat yourself to a bottle of that, and give it as a gift to yourself.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And just as perfume, I even have this oil called Joy Oil. This is a beautiful blend as well. So I love this for women when you, especially because, and for PMS or anything, when you're feeling down or postpartum, I'm gonna make sure I'm using this just to keep your emotions high and support
Awesome.
our, yeah. So it's just amazing. This feels very luxurious when I put Joy on. It has some rose oil in it and some ylang ylang.
Nice. Oh,
Mhm.
rose and ling ling.
Yeah.
Flowers.
Yeah, yeah, it really most of the blends for women's hormone health are flowers. So I think it's beautiful. I mean, like nature, the feminine, it is this flower. I mean, even just like the vulva, like it's just, we're floral. Like it's so beautiful that essential oils, the ones that are best for our hormones, are a lot of the floral oils.
That is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and it's interesting because I personally like, there's so many times when I look at flowers and different types of plants where I see like it just resembles the sexual organs.
Yep.
There's like so much intelligence in the design,
Mm-hmm.
everything about this amazing world that we live in. It's incredible.
I agree.
Okay, so for the like kind of cleaning up the chemicals in your
Mm-hmm.
house, I share a little piece on this that I have shared in a video with some of my tribe before. I talked to this environmental engineer,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and he was talking to me about how like he was working with the waterways around the city and how they had started to find deformities in fish and like uh, I'm pretty sure he said they were starting to find like eggs in male fish and very interesting anomalies that he said were caused by all of these synthetic chemicals from our cleaning products and our beauty products and our shampoos and conditioners and everything that wash down the drain. So
Mm-hmm.
it's really good to be aware of that type of thing because oftentimes we can think that if it's like on the outside of us and we're not like ingesting it, that it's like no big deal. But when you really learn stuff like that and take into consideration the effect that it's having on the natural world around us,
Mm-hmm.
that really helps to point towards the unhealthy aspect of it.
Yes. And it's definitely challenging, like when you're first starting out, to throw away I never thought I would get rid of my beloved like secret deodorant brand, like, or
Totally.
like you have these like things that you're just like, oh, I've never found a good natural deodorant that works, and then eventually like I found one,
Do.
and I think people just try one natural thing and then they're just like, oh, I didn't like it. Like, I'm just going to stick to my Colgate and Crest toothpaste. And
Yeah.
so I just encouraging people to try a few different things. Like, I'm so glad I found, like, so I use Young Living's toothpaste. I'm like, I love it. And their house cleaner. And so, but you might try one natural thing and don't give up if you don't like it. It does a lot of the natural products like Young Living's like shampoo, it doesn't bubble like as much, so it doesn't have sodium lauryl sulfate, and so sometimes it takes getting used to, and the toothpaste like doesn't bubble as much. But now when I use like regular toothpaste, I'm like, this bubbles so much, like I don't like it anymore. So you do adapt and adjust.
Yeah. Well, and that's part of like the cultural deprogramming because we don't even realize, like what we've been born and raised into, that we've all just been like programmed to use this type of stuff and think that it's normal. And it isn't until you really start seeking out natural remedies that you realize that that's actually not normal. That's what artificial is like. This is what natural and normal is. And it's not going to be as bubbly because what creates the bubbles is a bunch of synthetic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's a really good point to bring up because it does take some getting used to just the way that natural is, because
Mm-hmm.
it isn't like what we have been raised with. And on that note, I personally have been thinking about how like the eco-friendly and natural way of life it's just now starting to be caught on more publicly. And I personally have been viewing that as us, like, it's still kind of like new to the world as a whole, even though it's not really new. This is the way we've
Yes.
been living forever. But just right now on the planet, I personally have been viewing it as kind of like we're in like that new phase where there's like a lot of experimentation that needs to happen in order to really hone in on the formulas that are the most effective. And thinking about how accustomed we all are to the chemicals and synthetic ingredients and the way those work, it's understandable why you would think that natural doesn't work necessarily when you are first being introduced to it, but also like taking into consideration the fact that it's new to the planet on the level that it is. And the more people seek that out, that option, the more companies and small businesses are experimenting to find the formulas that work the best. I think it's only a matter of time before we find formulas that work just as good as all of the synthetic ingredients and chemicals. And it's really good to meet people who've been on the journey for a long time and who have tried lots of products and can recommend some of them so that others don't have to experiment quite as much.
Yeah.
I definitely use secret deodorant for a long time also. And it took years for me to find one natural that worked.
Yeah. I make one now and it works. I swear by it. I mimicked it off of another one that I had bought and then I was able to make it. So well, yeah, I have that on my blog. If I know you're going to probably link to my website. So if anybody needs that, it's on my blog, the recipe.
Awesome. For a homemade.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Got some essential oils, some baking soda, some arrowroot powder.
Yeah. It's interesting when you find a solution like that really works, and then you see how freaking simple it is.
Yes.
And how few ingredients actually are required for it to be effective.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really awesome. I'll definitely make sure that we share the link for that for the audience who wants to try making their own deodorant. And I'm sure there's like a million sources out online now for every type of cleaning product you can imagine, just like making it yourself. One of the other things that I learned in my own journey of like deprogramming from using all of that stuff was the fact that society has been sold a specific product for every freaking thing. And we don't need a product for every single different thing. And I just started making like a natural all-purpose cleaner that works for the kitchen countertops and the toilet and the floor. And like, you don't need like all of stuff that TV and the stores tell you that you need for every individual thing. It's actually can be a heck of a lot simpler.
I use one bottle for everything in my house, plus some baking soda for some scrubbing power. And that's all I use. I totally agree.
Yeah. And it just feels so much better, doesn't it?
Yeah. You don't have so much junk under the sink. And then I think, especially moms, once they start having babies, they're like, oh, all this poison is under the sink. I need to protect it. And like, or what's the baby crawling on the floor and putting in their mouth? You know, that's when a lot of us start realizing, wait, what am I putting on my body? Once it's not our body, but it's a baby that you care about. But I believe, you know, we can start now because our bodies matter and we need to take care of them.
Definitely. Another one of the gifts that children bring to us, more awareness about how we're living. Oh, what a beautiful conversation. I feel like that was a lot of really amazing, empowering, informative wisdom. Thank you so much for
glad.
being in the space with me and sharing about your journey and some of the amazing things that you have learned and tools and tips, and just really grateful for this
So
experience
glad.
and for being able to share it with all the women that tune into this.
Thank you for starting this, because we need this conversation to keep going. I'm so excited to hear all the other ones, people you've interviewed, and just to get this information out to more women.
Yes, it feels good. Feels
Mm-hmm.
okay. So before we wrap up, I just wanted to go over a little bit about services that you offer, and I know that you wanted to offer
Promos.
to the audience. So if you wanted to just talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So I wanted to offer you all 20% off my FAM courses. So I have two, one for avoiding pregnancy, one for achieving pregnancy. And it's a 3-part video course. So they're each like 45 minutes. And you get to watch it. The first one's like the foundations, the body, the science. The second one is actually how to chart your cycle and fertility awareness method. And then the third is like holistic things for hormone support, for either avoiding pregnancy or period pain, or for helping you get pregnant. So that's 20% off, and it includes a one-on-one session with me, which is really nice. So after you've charted for a bit, you can get all your questions answered and have that one-on-one time. And so yeah, offering that on my courses, and I'm offering a complimentary 20-minute phone call if you have any questions about FAM in general or about my courses, if they're right for you. And then for essential oils, I'm going to offer free shipping on any order of Young Living has a premium starter kit, which is 12 oils and a diffuser, basically for free for the cost of all the oils. And so that's people's most popular way of getting started with essential oils, because then you have something to experiment with. It's not just one oil. And so if you are interested in getting what's in that, you can reach out, and it's the 12 oils and a diffuser and free shipping. I'll reimburse you for the free shipping. So you just have to be in touch with me to let me know you ordered via my referral, which Angel's gonna post my link. And so if you order through my referral, you can get free shipping on all those goodies.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. I might have to jump on that.
Yeah, sure.
Young Living is such a treat. Their oils are
yeah, and the starter kit, the premium starter kit, it's one of the most affordable ways to get that many oils.
awesome.
You're really getting like 12 oils and then the diffuser for free. So I think if we have Americans here, it's $160 with free shipping. And then in Europe, where I'm actually in Amsterdam, I don't think I even said that on the call. So I'm over, I don't know where all the viewers are, but I'm over in Europe, and it's 171 euros here.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
It sounds like a really good opportunity. So I hope some of the audience takes you up on that. And
thanks.
I didn't read your bio, but I feel like we kind of went over everything in it. And I did mean to introduce you. You're originally from San Francisco?
I am. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. So we moved to Amsterdam 3 years ago, just for an adventure, and we love it.
Oh my God, Amsterdam is amazing.
Yeah. I'm so excited to give birth here. They have a great birth system. So
awesome.
So,
your estimated due date.
Yes, July 8th. That's my due date based on my FAM charts, but otherwise they base it off your last period or ultrasound measurements. But I'm like, no, I know when I ovulated.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Well, this has been really awesome. I really enjoyed doing this with you, and I hope that you have a blissful rest of your pregnancy and an amazing birthing experience. I know that is one of the most incredible initiation processes that women can go through, and
I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I'm excited for birth, really. I know a lot of people are scared of birth or whatever, but I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited for you too. It's going to be amazing, and I am sending you so much love and blessings on your and your initiation into motherhood. So
thank you so much.
yeah. And thank you so much for being here. Thank you everybody for tuning in. I hope you really enjoyed this episode as much as I did. Please stay tuned for another one, and definitely check out the links for Hana's amazing promotional offers. So have a beautiful rest of your day, Hana, and I will keep in touch.
Bye.
Aloha, everyone.